Hey there guys, welcome back. Today we're doing the next part for What If Chi-Chi Became a Saiyan. Now I don't want to waste too much time, so let's jump straight into the battle which is about to unfold. Now last time we'd have to group off, holding off with the Saiyans, and they've just defeated the Cybermen, with Nappa getting ready to fight with the group now. Everyone in the group is ready to fight with the big Saiyan, and they're pretty confident they can take him down. However, just before a battle does begin, Piccolo explains how if it's okay with everyone, he's going to take this one alone. Save yourself some energy, he says, and begins to take off his own weight. People have no objection to this, after all they can sense how strong Piccolo is compared to him, and they're pretty confident that he can win. Now, Gohan looks over to his mentor and friend with excitement. He's looking forward to seeing one of his closest friends have a proper fight. Now, the two giants stare at one another before the fight begins. It starts out with Piccolo taking the lead, going all the way by jumping straight towards the Saiyan, going to knee him in the face. However, just before impact with the face, he grabs hold of Nappa's head and flips over it, landing behind the Saiyan and grabs hold of Nappa's tail, which doesn't have any effect, with the Saiyans explaining how they have come over that weakness, and Nappa turning around to go hit Piccolo to get him off his tail. However, Piccolo doesn't really take this too kindly, and opens up his mouth, shooting out a mouth blast, making the scream out in pain, and actually move forward, getting some distance away before he turns back around and charges towards the Namekian. However, Piccolo was expecting this and starts flying backwards as fast as he can. He continues to maintain eye contact with Nappa just to make sure that he doesn't do anything that he can't do anything about, and he keeps trying to maintain as much distance between Nappa and himself as possible. With the Saiyan Brute getting close sometimes, and every time he does, he smacks down into the ground, destroying the ground or some boulders. And every time he sees this, Piccolo realises that if he doesn't dodge an attack, he's going to turn into hundreds of pieces, just like that rock. Now, the Namek does decide that at some point he needs to start fighting back, and once Nappa has destroyed another set of rocks, Piccolo turns around and begins to counter-attack, with the two beginning to clash, only briefly, but it's clear that Piccolo does have some sort of advantage, thanks to him being stronger and also having a good mastery over martial arts. Now, at some point, Piccolo does see an opening and jumps at the chance, with him going for Nappa's face with a quick jab, which leads to the Saiyan stopping for a little bit, and this also gives Piccolo a chance to get right up close and personal into the Saiyan's chest, with him beating down into it. With every time Nappa tries to regain some control, Piccolo uppercuts Nappa straight in the jaw and begins to beat into his chest again. Nappa is actually having a hard time breaking out of this, and eventually he falls to the ground very heavily bruised and damaged, pretty much unable to fight after this. Piccolo, who didn't take too much damage, however, the clash did wear him out a little bit. He's bruised, his clothes damaged, however, he's still standing. And much like I said, Nappa is on the ground, pretty much how he was in the first part of the original story. However, he's not got his back broken here, he's just very, very heavily beaten. And he looks over to his companion, hoping for a helping hand. However, much like normal, Vegeta kills his friend without a second thought, shocking everyone in the group, as they thought Vegeta and Nappa were very good friends. After watching this, Goku shouts out asking what was that about. Vegeta explaining how if a Saiyan cannot kill a simple Namekian, he is weak, and I will not allow a weak Saiyan to live. And after hearing this, the group learn a bit more about Piccolo, and Vegeta gives a little bit of information about Namekians, but not too much. And with this happening, Goku, Chi-Chi and Gohan are all getting ready to fight, and they're all really looking forward to it. With the other Saiyan obviously only interested in fighting the pure-blooded Saiyans, which would be the entire Sun family. Vegeta does shout out to them that he only wants to fight them, however he will kill some of these Earthlings and a Namekian if he has to. And Goku, Gohan and Chi-Chi all look over to their phones and explain that they should probably sit this one out. They know they've been training hard. However, if he's willing to kill you guys, we should probably just take it here. After all, you're not anywhere near as strong as we are, and we think we've got a good chance of beating him. With Goku and Chi-Chi thinking about how if they were to just be the two of them, if they worked together, they could probably win. So with the addition of Gohan, they think this might be just a little bit of overkill. However, the family does still stand there getting ready to fight. Now, there's a brief moment where no one moves, but then Goku takes the lead of the family and charges straight towards Vegeta. And the two have a brief clash where they exchange a small bit of conversation, with Vegeta explaining how Goku's nowhere near as weak as his younger brother, with Goku explaining a good quick thank you. But the clash is soon interrupted when a Gohan suddenly flies in, kicking Vegeta out of the way of Goku, and knocking the prince to the side, where he's soon met by Goku's wife, Chi-Chi, who's coming in for an attack while he's wide open. However, Vegeta does see this and uses the momentum Gohan just gave him when he hit him to dodge away from the attack and then decks Chi-Chi straight in the face, knocking her away a little bit, then turning around to Goku to charge a quick ki blast to knock him away as well, making both the parents away from the fight for a brief second, meaning that he can go for the brat who just hit him. However, when he does go to fight Gohan, Gohan's weird mixed match martial arts fighting style, which is a combination of both Goku's, his mother's and Piccolo's, gives him a bit of an unpredictable fighting style, which does catch Vegeta by surprise, surprisingly. However, it doesn't last long, with Vegeta soon getting an idea of how it works and predicting the young Saiyan. He then begins to beat into him, however it isn't long before Chi-Chi sees this and flies straight at Vegeta, with a lot of rage in her heart. After all, she's watching her son get beaten up here. She's probably pretty pissed off. So let's give her a small rage boost. We'll put her up to 9k, just a small little boost. So her surprise attack, which is rage fueled, hits Vegeta, and it's a bit harder than it would have been if she wasn't so angry. She gets the first good hit in and then begins to beat down into Vegeta, with every punch she does knocking the wind out of Vegeta a little bit. And Goku, before he can even get back into the fight, can see that they have actually got a good bit of an upper hand here. However, Vegeta then knees Chi-Chi in the jaw, which sends her flying backwards. However, he grabs hold of her hair and begins to use every bit of strength he can to slam her straight into the ground. Vegeta isn't able to catch a break, however, because both Goku and Gohan are now beginning to fly at Vegeta, both pair being pretty pissed off with what Vegeta just did. And they begin to clash. Vegeta, who is holding his ground very well, to say it's a 2v1 where the two people against him are quite strong. But Vegeta holding his ground doesn't last too long again. After all, Chi-Chi's getting back up and she flies straight towards Vegeta, joining the clash, which begins to put him on the back foot quite heavily. This gives the Sun family a lot of openings to hit Vegeta hard, with the prince eventually screaming out, letting out a massive wave of ki to push away the family, which does give him a bit of a chance to move. He then begins to fly upwards towards the sky and gets ready to destroy the planet using a Gallic gun. With the Sun family acting fast, they begin to charge up their own Kamehamehas. They begin to have a beam struggle, with Vegeta still winning, however the Sun family is holding up very well. Now, the Z-Fighters can see that the Sun family isn't exactly winning, and they are sick of sitting around. They want to go help, with the likes of Tien and Krillin being the ones who are most agitated. Piccolo also wants to help. After all, he's quite good friends with Gohan here. The three of them fly over to go help the family out, with Yamcha and Chaozu getting ready to jump in just in case. Now, Piccolo gets down and gets ready to help the family in the beam struggle itself, which starts putting the beam struggle back in their favour. However, the thing that truly gives them the advantage is the fact that Krillin and Tien have both flew above Vegeta and beginning to unload as many ki blasts as possible into his back to try and weaken the Saiyan, or at least distract him. With this actually working, as Vegeta lets one of his hands slip to blast a small ki beam back at the two behind him, which gives the family and Piccolo enough leeway to push back Vegeta's beam and knocking him straight into the air, with both Krillin and Tien dodging away from the beam. Now, when Vegeta's in the air, everyone's getting ready and just catching a moment of breath while they can. And Vegeta knows that he needs to go Great Ape, but he also remembers the fact that the woman has a tail, and she could also go Great Ape, which would be an issue for him. However, he does think that she might not be able to control it. It's just a hunch he has. And he also knows that he's stronger than her in Great Ape, so if it comes down to it, he has the advantage. Something the prince is forgetting a little bit is that Gohan actually has a tail. He doesn't really show it too often, and it's only come out every now and again during this fight, with him tucking it away again. Not that he's embarrassed by it, but he knows it's his weakness, so he's trying to keep it hidden as much as possible, so Vegeta forgets, which he has, luckily. So Vegeta lands down to the floor with the power ball already charged up, and like normal he throws it up, and he begins to explain that he's about to win this fight, and everyone gets really worried when they start to see Vegeta slowly transform. With everyone other than Goku know what's happening here, with people quickly explaining to Goku what this is, and Goku finally putting two together, realising that he's the reason his grandpa is dead. However, he doesn't have much chance to mourn over his murdering of his own grandpa, as while Vegeta is transforming, both Chi-Chi and Gohan begin to transform, and this change begins to shock the group as they begin to panic, alongside Vegeta, who didn't realise Gohan had a tail as well. He's not worried, but it's a little bit more trouble than he was expecting to be put up with. Now, while this transformation is happening, Goku wants to try and stop his family from transforming. However, Piccolo explains that this was probably a good idea to let them transform. They need the firepower to take down Vegeta, as he's getting very strong. And Goku, hearing this, agrees with it, however he doesn't like it. And once the transformation is complete, all three Great Apes begin to battle, with Vegeta having a clear upper hand thanks to him having a good bit of power difference and also being in complete control of the form. So he begins to beat down on the other Saiyans, with Goku and the other Z fighters coming up with a plan to get rid of all three of the Great Apes at once, with the main plan to be to destroy the thing that Vegeta just threw up into the air to avoid hurting both Gohan and Chi-Chi. However, Goku and Krillin are also going to go over to try and remove Vegeta's tail, just so even if he makes another Power Ball, it won't let him transform again. With Goku and Krillin heading off into two different directions, getting ready to take care of Vegeta. Now, the likes of Tien, Piccolo, Yamcha and Chaozu are all going to head off into the sky to destroy the Power Ball once Vegeta has lost his tail. Now, over with the battle between the giants, it seems that both mother and son have an understanding of somewhat. They seem to understand that they are related somehow. They don't understand why, but they understand that they're allies and they need to work together and not hurt each other as much as possible. However, this is probably the extent of what they can do at the moment. There is no other cooperation. After all, they are mindless at the moment. It's probably something primal or just something they know. They could probably smell that they know each other. It's not a lot of explained, but this is just my own idea of how it would work. And Vegeta begins to fight them off with a lot of ease. After all, even though they're strong, they have lost their main advantage over Vegeta, which was teamwork and also their martial arts. Now, he hasn't realised that the other Z-Fighters have sneaked up to the Power Ball to destroy it, and he also hasn't realised that Goku and Krillin are in a position to take care of him. Now, while Vegeta is in a battle, in a complete and utter standstill with Gohan, he hasn't noticed that Krillin is behind him, charging up a Destructo Disc. And when the Destructo Disc is thrown, he actually hears it launch, and he begins to jump over it, much like he did in canon. However, while Vegeta scolds Krillin for a poor attempt to get rid of the tail, he feels a sharp pain go through his tail, and when he turns around he sees it's completely missing, and sees a snickering Goku over in the distance. Krillin was a distraction here, just to make sure that Goku's attack could hit. After all, Goku's a bit stronger, so it was more likely to cut through him. It was a gamble that they weren't willing to take to let Krillin land it, even though his control over the Destructo Disc is hundreds of times better than Goku's right now. And once this happens, Vegeta slowly begins to deform, while the two Saiyans beat into him. He goes to destroy the Power Ball, however he notices the Z-Fighters are above it, and they're just about to destroy it. Laughing, he realises that they wanted him to deform first so that he could get beaten by Gohan and Chi-Chi briefly. He sort of finds this entertaining. However, once they've landed a few good hits, they destroy the Power Ball, and they begin to shrink themselves, and before long, mother and son are back to normal, with Goku flying over to his wife and son to check on them. However, Chi-Chi isn't really in a talking mood right now. She's sort of coming to, and she realises that she is completely naked, and begins to scream at Goku, asking questions where her clothes were, with Goku quickly throwing over his gi to her, and this makes her calm down a bit, and she asks some normal questions now, with Goku giving a very brief explanation. However, soon Vegeta begins to get up, and he's very badly hurt. Not anywhere near as he was in canon, however, it's still pretty bad. Now, Goku shouts out to Vegeta that this is his last chance to leave the planet. After all, Goku, the Earthlings, are pretty much Piccolo, are all in perfect health, and not really expended any energy. Vegeta doesn't take this threat too kindly though, and actually wants to argue back. However, he soon realises that he's in no position to be arguing, and he should probably just agree, and he says how his trip here was a waste. After all, the woman over there is a fake Saiyan anyway, I don't want to breed with her. I'll have to take down Lord Frieza myself. Hearing this actually catches Goku. He's normally a little slow with these things, but he picked it up this time, and he asks Vegeta what he means by defeat Lord Frieza. With Vegeta giving a bit of information about Frieza, with him learning how Frieza treated the Saiyans for years, and the group actually feel a bit of sympathy for him. However, it's soon reminded to them that he destroyed a lot of people and killed hundreds. Goku looks back thinking about how much Raditz had acted and how weird it was that he wanted to breed so many more Saiyans, and begins to wonder if it was because he wanted to take down this Frieza guy as well. Goku is wondering how strong Frieza is, and soon he drops his fighting stance and actually asks Vegeta how strong Frieza is, with the whole group being shocked that Goku has seemed to let down his guard quite a bit. Vegeta explains that if Vegeta is strong compared to them, Frieza is light years above them, with him showing a little bit of modesty. However, before long, he begins to shout out how he will defeat him though. When he achieves the Super Saiyan state, the legend, he will be the one to rule over the galaxy and be the first Saiyan ever to kill Frieza. And this sort of catches the group by surprise, as they weren't expecting Vegeta to talk about some sort of Super Saiyan, and defeating Frieza, ruling over the galaxy, it's a lot of weird information to take in. Now, Goku, who's still sort of on the ball for some reason, asks another question. Is this Frieza guy a bad guy? With Vegeta laughing, almost hysterically, explaining how if the group see himself as a bad guy, Frieza's hundreds of times worse than Vegeta. It would probably take thousands of Vegeta to be anywhere near as evil as Frieza. Vegeta's only being so modest right now and so fun his interaction with the Earth group because he's called his pod, he's waiting to leave at this point, so he might as well entertain himself. Goku walks over to the heavily injured Vegeta and offers out his hand. He wants to help him become strong enough to defeat Frieza. If he's truly a bad guy, he will help you defeat him. Hearing this, everyone's a bit surprised, but Vegeta soon shouts back saying that's stupid, he would never work with someone like... Goku quickly knocks out Vegeta, and this is mostly because Vegeta's very heavily fatigued, he's very heavily injured, and Goku's pretty much full, health. So just one quick punch to the face knocked him out, with everyone being surprised with how Goku acted. But Goku goes on to explain how he might not be a bad guy, he might have just been brought up in a bad way, and he would like to see if he can make this super strong person a friend of theirs, much like what they did with Piccolo and Tien, if that's okay with everyone. Chi-Chi and Gohan are very keen on this idea. Keep in mind, even though Chi-Chi's still got her human mentality, the Saiyan urge to fight is still there, and she thinks that it would be a great idea, and she agrees alongside Gohan. Piccolo thinks that it wouldn't be a bad idea either, but he wants to learn more about himself being a Namekian. And the Earth group just sort of follow Goku, so everyone agrees, and they soon take him to the one place they think will be the best place to keep him, Capsule Corp, because where else would you take him? And once arriving, Vegeta and everyone else is bandaged up a little bit with the few injuries they took, and Chi-Chi and Gohan are given a senzu bean. Now, once Vegeta begins to wake up, which is a few days later, Goku hit him really hard. He is noticed that he's surrounded by everyone, and he gets asked multiple questions, with people trying to learn more and more about Frieza, until eventually they pretty much know everything Vegeta knows. Now, after this has happened, Vegeta asks what is happening. Goku goes on to explain that he's going to help Vegeta become stronger, so they can defeat Frieza. After all, he might show up on Earth one day, so it would probably be a good idea to defeat him. And once that's done, Vegeta can do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't hurt anyone. Hearing this, Vegeta's very angry. He's just been told what to do by a low-class warrior, and on top of that, he's been told that he's not allowed to hurt people anymore. However, he can't really do much. Both Chi-Chi and Gohan got a substantial Zenkai, probably making them stronger or around the same strength as Goku, whereas Vegeta's Zenkai is made him a bit weaker than he was in canon after getting the Zenkai from Earth. So he's actually at a bit of a disadvantage, and I think he knows this in his own way. He agrees, and mostly it's because he doesn't have any options, but also he thinks it would be a good idea to grow stronger to defeat the Lord Frieza. After agreeing to train to get ready to defeat Frieza, it's mainly Goku who Vegeta trains with. He doesn't really care to train with everyone else. This is for the first week there anyway. And it's not that everyone else isn't training, it's that he just doesn't want to train with them. Chi-Chi and Gohan are always nearby in case Vegeta does try to do anything. But Vegeta notes how the gravity on Earth is much weaker than it was on their home planet. So the training they do is not going to be as beneficial as it would be if they were training on Vegeta. With Bulma having heard this, decides to build a gravity machine, which only takes her a month or so to build. And once it's built, Goku manages to convince Vegeta to let Chi-Chi, Gohan and Piccolo train with them in the gravity room. And it took him a while, but he finally did it, and they've all started to train with one another. Now, the Earthlings don't really get to use the gravity chamber too often. However, they still use it and get some training in every now and again, as soon as they can, really. They do want to help out in the upcoming battle against Frieza. Now, during this time, Vegeta helps Bulma build a ship with the little information he knows about them, which makes Bulma, tease him about how he doesn't really know as much as he's making on to do, which makes the two grow weirdly close. However, Vegeta isn't a good guy yet, and he is getting better slowly over the 6 months he's been on Earth, and the group believes that it's maybe time to head off to fight Frieza. With Vegeta thinking back and sensing how strong everyone is, he believes that they are strong enough to win. Now, the Earthlings are actually tagging along to come help in the battle against Frieza. Vegeta isn't very happy about this. He's only just really grown to tolerate Goku, Chi-Chi and Gohan. He's still not very partial to Piccolo, however he doesn't mind him too much. And he doesn't really get a say, unfortunately. They are coming whether he wants them to or not. He sets in the coordinates for the main base of Frieza's operation, and the group spend the next few days training, getting ready for the fight against Frieza. Now, I'll do the power levels, and then I'll wrap up this video. First up we have Goku, who's gone from a power level of 10,500 to a power level of 7.3 mil. Thanks to training with 3 other Saiyans who are around his strength or stronger, and having Piccolo there, he grew quite strong quite fast, and he managed to push himself to much higher levels of gravity than he ever expected he would be able to. Next up will be Chi-Chi, and she's actually the strongest of the group right now. She's gone from a power level of 7,020 to 8.5 mil. This is thanks to the Zenkai she got from the battle with Vegeta when she grew a bit stronger than her husband. She even managed to grow stronger than Vegeta after some good training, and now is the strongest of the group. Piccolo was up next, and he managed to go from a power level of 6,250 to 1 mil. Thanks to his training in the gravity chamber, he grew a lot stronger with the Saiyans. However, as time went on, they got more Zenkais and he fell behind. Gohan is up next, and he's gone from a power level of 5,231 to 6 mil. Much like his mother, he got a Zenkai from the battle with the Saiyans, which put him above Piccolo. Thanks to his training and a lot of hard work in the gravity chamber, he grew a lot stronger. Next up is Krillin. He went from a power level of 2,266 to a power level of 660,000. He didn't get much time in the gravity chamber, however he did keep up training, and thanks to the likes of Tien and Yamcha helping each other grow a lot faster, they managed to keep up just. Now, the time they did spend in the gravity chamber, they did put their gravity quite high to make sure that they didn't fall behind too much. Next up is Tien. He went from a power level of 2,500 to 7,200. Much like what happened with Krillin, he pushed himself a bit harder than Krillin, unfortunately. He didn't get much time in the gravity chamber, but much like Tien does, he pushes himself the hardest out of most of the characters in the show, so well done, Tien. Next up is Yamcha, and he went from a power level of 1,077 to a power level of 543,000. Much like the other Earthlings, he didn't get much chance in the gravity chamber. However, he did have a bit of time where he also didn't train as much. He was a bit depressed after all. Bulma just dumped him, and she seemed to be getting interested in Vegeta. He wasn't in the best state of mind. Now next up is Vegeta, who got a weaker power boost from his Zenkai than in canon, so I put his power level at 20,000 when he started, and I've put him up to 8 mil. He got a lower boost than in canon, like I said, and he also had to do a lot of things while on Earth. He had to help Bulma make a ship, give her an idea of how the gravity chamber sort of worked. He had to learn sense ki, he had to learn how to suppress his energy, and he just unfortunately fell behind a bit, making him just a bit weaker than Chi-Chi, however still stronger than Goku. And that's everyone where they stand at the moment, with Chi-Chi being at the top of the food chain, but the other Saiyans not too far behind. Now, by some miracle, if someone else is watching this at the moment, I do actually have a question. Should I do power levels in the Android Cell Saga, stuff like that? I like doing them, and I tend to do them, and I plan on doing them up to the Boo Saga. That's the last point I think power levels are able to be done, as I don't really want to do them with Beerus and Whis at all. But I just want to know if people are okay with it. I just like it so everyone knows where everyone stands. It's a bit of math I struggle with every now and again, but for the most part I tend to get it right, I think. But yeah, that's just the question I wanted to know. If not, I can just sort of stop doing it. But if so, yeah, please let me know. But like I said, I hope everyone has a great day or a good night, and I hopefully see you next time.